Well, hello there, and welcome to a brand spanking new episode of the Melanin Mayhem podcast, hosted by your favorite country girl, Renee Davis. Honey, if this is your first time tiptoeing through the tulips, welcome, babes. Spring has sprungeth, and you will be too once you get into the mayhem. Now, if you didn't know, we put it down prolific style over here. Each week, I'm going to bring you the story of some heinous, I'm talking diabolical and downright audacious crimes perpetrated by some melanated baddies that you may have never heard of or know the full story about. And either way, I can promise you that you have never heard the story the way I'm going to tell it. I am a one-woman band out here on a mission to dead the myth that there are certain types of crimes that black people don't commit, because we've been masterminding prolific melanated magic since the beginning of time. But there is a dark side, and we can't ignore that. So we're going to get together and talk about it every week. You're going to love it, I promise. And if you don't believe me, just ask my crew, honey. They down like 4 flats on a Cadillac. I'm talking about my boo things, the Noir Nation. What's good, cousins? I hope life is treating you right, because, baby, it is crazy for me right now. There is so much going on, but I got to tell you, I'm loving every minute of it. And I do so enjoy when we get together every week and kiki it up the way we do. Don't nobody cut up like the Noir Nation and the country girl. Thank you guys so much for your subscriptions over there to the story series. Ooh, we had some changes that came about this week. The country girl is trying to moderate her life. You understand what I'm saying? Not biting off more than I can chew, because I reach for the stars, but I have to remember I am only human. If you have not gotten down with the subscription to the Melanin Mayhem original story series, head on over to melaninmayhempodcast.supercast.com, and you too can hear the full story with all the alternate endings. As far as church announcements, I don't really have much. Of course, there is the website for all your merchandise needs. That is melaninmayhempodcast.com. You can get the e-guide for that story you've been trying to tell. It's over there. It's from case to compelling. What else we got? The private Facebook group. That is the Melanin Mayhem Podcast discussion group. You answer a few questions and I will let you in. We pretty deep over there too. I think the last count we were at like 1.1 thousand people. I love it, honey. The more the merrier. And Essence, we got that coming up. I am definitely going to be in New Orleans, and I hope to meet as many of you all as I can if you will also be in the area. I've actually just been invited to speak on a podcast that will be broadcasting out that weekend. So I'm excited about that. Big things popping, big things popping. God is opening up so many doors, and the country girl is so thankful to each and every one of you that come every week and stream and just show your love. I truly feel it, and like I said, I feel like that's so inadequate, but I so appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. That's all I got for church announcements, and I just want to go on ahead and get into this week's story because, ooh, honey, a nigga that just really turned my stomach. Ooh, when I read about this man, I could not wait to bring him to the front of the congregation because, ooh, honey, he had a type. He liked them young and he liked them brunette, and he attacked these women in their homes. Baby, he was prolific in the way that he took these women out. And in addition to the killations, he was a sticky finger motherfucker. Just a waste of flesh. And I am so sorry that I have to drag this motherfucker to the front of the congregation for a proper dragging. But y'all know we got to do what we got to do. Baby, so without further ado, Noir Nation, I have the distinct displeasure to bring this trifling motherfucker to the front of the congregation so we can drag his ass properly. This week's Melanin Mayhem maker is Mr. Cleophus Prince Jr. Ugh. let's get into it. All right, Noir Nation, I gotta tell you off the top, I like saying this man's name. It's something about the name Cleophus that just does it for me. They don't name him like that no more. Cleophus. It just rolls off the tongue. So pardon me if I say this man's government every 2 seconds. All right. Cleophus Prince Jr. was born July 24th, 1967 in Birmingham, Alabama. His mama was Dorothy Prince, and he's a junior, so his daddy was Cleophus Prince Sr. He had a brother and he had a sister. Now, his daddy, he was a construction worker who also went to prison when Cleophus Jr. was 3 years old. He went to prison for second-degree murder and grand larceny with a rape charge that he was never prosecuted for. Sound like the apple don't fall too far from the tree. Senior would spend the next 14 years as property of the state of Alabama. So daddy was gone and it was on Dot to try to raise these children by herself. Now, Cleophus Jr., he went to Banks High School, but he didn't graduate. The principal over there at the school says that Cleophus was a jovial type of child. He didn't really start nothing. He played basketball, and he was kind of short for his age. Corporal punishment was a thing back then, and the principal says he remembers tapping that ass once or twice for some minor shit. But all in all, Cleophus Jr. was one of the good kids in a rough neighborhood. After he passed through high school, he went into the Navy in 1987, and his first stop was in Chicago for his, basic training type situation. He went to the Great Lakes Naval Training Center, and then he went on to San Diego in July of 1987, where he was stationed at the Miramar Naval Air Station. He was designated aviation structural mechanic. That was his job in the Navy. And while he might not have gotten into trouble in high school, this little nigga couldn't stay out of trouble in the Navy. And it got so bad that they finally had enough of his ass. In October of 1989, Cleophus was court-martialed and discharged from the Navy for sticky finger foolishness. That ass got hit with a larceny charge, and since he couldn't stop taking shit that didn't belong to him, they gave him 28 days in the brig. That's Navy jail. And then they gave his ass the boot when he got out. And shit, I can't say I blame him. I mean, a ship is big, but at the same time, it's small. We all cramped up in this bitch every day, and a motherfucker going in my shit on some sneaky shit? Nah, we don't need no thieving thiever that thieves loose on the ship. Should have made that nigga walk the plank. You know what I'm saying? But apparently Cleophas didn't want to tuck tail and go back to Alabama, so he stuck it out in California. And I guess he had good reason to, because Cleophas had a boo. Her name was Charla Lewis. She was young, 16, 17, around the time that they got together. So while that's a whole situation in and of itself, I think that she probably didn't want to move to Alabama. She's a Cali girl. So Cleophas stayed in California too. And they moved into an apartment in the Buena Vista Garden Apartments. That's in the Clairemont neighborhood in San Diego. They signed a little lease in December of 1989. This is like 2 months after Cleophas got the boot. Okay, so 3 months after getting his walking papers from the Navy, Cleophas started his crash-out era with the murder of 20-year-old Tiffany Page Schultz on January 12, 1990. Cleophus, like many of our mayhem makers, he liked to hunt in the backyard, and Tiffany was a student over at San Diego State University, and word on the curve is that she also knew her way around that pole. Yeah, Tiff could make that booty clap or whatever. 1990, that was prime era when you was stripping to pay tuition, but that's not the point. I just thought it was interesting that, she was maybe a bottle service girl. Nah, they said Tiffany was in that thing throwing it up. But anyway, again, not the point. Tiffany lived about 2 blocks from Cleophas' good murdering ass. Now, she was out doing the thing that the pale peoples do on a beautiful sunny day. She was sunbathing and working on her California tan. And she gets up to go into her apartment, and that's when Cleophas attacked her. Now, mind you, she lived on the top floor of the apartment. She got neighbors up under her. Man, let me tell you something. Salt Gang ain't shit. Her neighbors listened to her get molly-whopped, screaming her damn head off, and they ain't do shit. I mean, the least you could have done was call the cops. I ain't saying you got to be Captain Save-A-Ho, but goddamn, that must be the Southerner in me. I mean, it wouldn't be until later on that evening when her roommate came home that would be when the authorities got called. Cleophas had stabbed this girl more than 50 times, like all up in her chest and in neck area. And I'm talking through and through, like he wasn't cutting her, he was tenderizing her ass. He came in the front door and the motherfucker left off the balcony. This nigga jumped down from the 2nd story. Oh, Spider-Man ass, stabbing ass motherfucker. And here's the gotcha with Tiffany's murder. She had a boyfriend named Christopher Burns. Him and Tiffany was engaged and they was living together, right? And I guess her neighbors must have thought that Chris was the one that was up there beating Tiff's ass on some DV type situation. And maybe that's why they didn't call the cops. They arrested her fiance, Chris, for her murder. Held his ass for 5 days in the county jail before they finally figured out that he wasn't the one that was on some domestic violence type of shit. But then Tiffany's murder is now unsolved. So this is the first one, right? Then we have 21-year-old Janine Marie Weinhold. She was also a student at San Diego State University. Now, Janine, she got done real bad, y'all. I mean, all of it's bad, but hers is particularly bad. It stings because her birthday was the following week. So you know how it is when it's your birthday. You excited, ready to turn up or whatever. And so the day is February 16th, 1990. It's a regular day. She got up, dropped her roommate off at work around 9 o'clock that morning, and she was supposed to come back to pick her up later on when she got off at 2. The plan was she was going to go back to the house, wash some clothes, and make some cookies. Now, remember, she was supposed to go pick her roommate back up at 2 o'clock. Well, Janine didn't make it back. Now, she went home and started doing exactly what she said she was going to do. She was washing clothes, but she had to use the laundry room at the apartment, so she was going back and forth between her apartment and the laundry room, right? She put the cookies on, and somewhere between the two activities was when she got. This nigga Cleophas lived a few doors down from Janine. He stayed at 3341 and she lived at 3301. A neighbor said that she saw Janine doing her laundry thing, right? And she said she also saw a man fitting Cleophas's description sitting on the steps that led to Janine's apartment. She said she saw him seeing Janine as well, right? The same neighbor say she heard screaming a little while later. But did she call the police? Hell to the no. Again, Elmer's glue? Baby, they'll hear you get molly the fuck whopped and won't do a goddamn thing. So when the roommate made it back to the house that night, around 8 o'clock that night, this been since the morning time. It's now 8 o'clock in the evening. She come in looking for Janine, and baby Janine was gone on to the upper room. Ooh, my Lord, though she went out bad. Cleophas stabbed that girl more than 50 50 times with a knife from her own kitchen. Left that motherfucker in the sink with blood on it, and the tip of that bitch was bent. Like, Cleophus also raped this woman, but I want you to understand, he was jugging her so hard, 50 plus times, that he bent the tip of the knife. Man, what the fuck is going on, Cleophus? Now, they found plenty of semen evidence. Like, it was in her, it was on her clothes, it was on the comforter, it was on the carpet. Like, he was just old nasty skeet motherfucker, skeet every goddamn well. Ugh. God damn it, Cleophus, this is just team too goddamn much. Like, how do you kill somebody when you smell cookies baking? That is sadistic in and of itself. Cookies make you smile. Cookies make everything all right. Now, even though Janine got 50 stab wounds, kind of like Tiffany did, and just like the rest of the victims I'm going to tell you about in this tale of woe, police do not want to put her murder in with the others. They say it wasn't the same killer. Okay. So what you're saying is, you got two killers that like to stab up young snow bunnies. Okay, let's just see how this shit play out. Now, again, the police also have DNA from all of the places that was found in Janine's body, right? And so to know that this woman went through this right before her birthday, that's just sad. Like, he just a sorry sack of shit. Just a waste of flesh. But he wasn't through, because on April 3rd, 1990, 18-year-old Holly Suzanne Tarr, she was visiting her brother. She had just touched down in San Diego on that Monday. That was April 2nd. She came from Michigan, right? And she had aspirations to go on to law school, right? And she was just, visiting her brother on her spring break, had come down with a friend and, just gonna chill in California, Well, this particular day, her and the friend chilling at the pool, enjoying the pool at the Buena Vista Garden Apartments. And for an 18-year-old, life was good, right? They played some tennis, they did some other outdoor shit. Oh, now they by the pool. Well, eventually, Holly gets out the pool and she gonna go take a shower. And she leaves her friend at the pool, right? Well, she's headed back to her brother's apartment, and apparently when she went in, she didn't lock the door. And of course, she probably left it unlocked for her friend. But instead, a monster let himself in and closed and locked the door behind him. Honey, Cleophus attacked Holly when she was getting out the shower. Turned her into a human pincushion. Don't make no goddamn sense. Holly just screaming. Now, mind you, all of this is going down in the middle of the day. Broad goddamn daylight, right? The peoples are at the house. The neighborhood is up and moving about. You know what I'm saying? This is not the middle of the night when everybody's asleep. So Cleophus, I'm thinking, he clocked Holly when she stepped on the scene that Monday, right? He knew what apartment she was staying in, and he probably knew her brother's schedule because he's his neighbor. So he done went in the house behind Holly, closed and locked the door, and now he finna have his way with her. But peep this. Richard Williams was the maintenance man, and he gets a call from the office telling him to go see about a problem in one of the apartments over on the 3400 side. He said when he get there, the door was chained and locked, but he can hear a woman in there screaming her head off. So he kicks the door in, right? And he runs right into a nigga with what looked like is a pillowcase over his head. A pillowcase? Nigga, what in the whole hell is this fuckery? A pillowcase? What, you trying to be a ghost? I can't. Now, Richard at first was going to square up on the nigga because why not? I mean, this nigga got a pillowcase on his head. He can't be too bright, you know what I'm saying? And he's so busy looking at that pillowcase, he ain't realized that old boy is holding a knife. And it must have been a big one too, because Richard say that mug looked like a dagger. And it was at this point that Richard remembered that his job title was maintenance man. And he was like, shit, it's above me now, and fell all the way back. Literally. Richard ass tripped and fell trying to get the fuck out the way and busted shit all open. That's not funny, but it's funny. Cleophas pussy ass didn't so much as pinch Richard. He just ran out the door. Richard, after he saw that the coast was clear, he went in the bedroom and he found Holly. And y'all, it was at this point that I knew for sure Richard was one of the melanated peoples. Richard said he ran in the bedroom. He saw Holly. She was laying naked on the floor, covering herself with a towel. She is alive. He said she was holding the towel, right? Baby Richard say he ain't say shit to Holly. He just dipped back to the kitchen and called 911. Richard say, hey, honey, hell to the no. Y'all ain't gonna find my DNA nowhere on this white woman and get my ass caught up in shit. He ain't tried to help, render aid, nothing. Like, this nigga stood outside waiting for the authorities to come see about this shenanigan up in this apartment. Now, to his defense, I will say this. In Richard's mind, he says Holly was alive. He actually thought that she was going to be all right because she was alert and she was holding the towel covering herself. You know, his flabber was gasted when he found out that she had gone on up yonder. I'm just saying, I understand, Richard. I understand. And also, the first responders, they got there in like 3 minutes from the time he called them. You got to remember, these is members in good standing of the casserole called Casticles, and she is the third to come up knifed up in this neighborhood. Now, again, all of this happened in the noonday hour, and plenty of people saw the pillowcase wearing jug and jugger that jugged Holly. One dude, who I assume was a flower ranger, even chased after Cleophas, but he got smoked when that nigga hit his stride. Another witness said that he saw a man getting into a prime dot car, looked like a Pinto or something. And you know, it's crazy because the police got all this information from all these people that seen all this shit. They know what he was wearing, which was a red t-shirt, and they found that red t-shirt. So he had on some black jeans and, of course, you know, a couple of different descriptions of his car. And Cleophas, being Cleophas, he also took shit from Holly's house before he left. He took her ring. She had a ring on, and he took it off her finger. He just a sticky-fingered Ginsu jugging janky motherfucker. Like, I'm gonna kill you and I'm gonna also rob you. Just prolific. Just a hot-ass, audacious mess. Now, later on in April 1990, Cleophas tried to get in a couple of apartments over at this apartment complex called Torrey Pines Village, but he got ran off. But they still seen his ass. I mean, he stayed running up in somebody's house. He's just a menace, I tell you. That following month in May, he tried that shit again. He followed his lady home from the beach and he tried to force his way in her house. But baby, this white woman was able to slip out of his grip and run for her life. But she was also able to give a description to the police of this black man who just tried to try her, right? So again, the police are getting all of these reports in this neighborhood, this Clairemont neighborhood, of all of these white women who are being attacked by the same described black man, but they can't find his ass, right? They can't find him. And on August 2nd, 1990, Cleophas is back at it again. This time, he breaks into an apartment and steals some shit. And in the stuff that he stole, it was also some foreign money. He stole these people's lira. That's currency from Turkey, right? And it was a group of lira. We're talking 94,000 lira, which is the equivalent of 75 US dollars. But I mean, still, it was a stack in Turkey. Well, y'all know we don't spend lira over here, right? In these good old United States. You got to exchange that to dollars at the currency exchange. And that's exactly what Cleophas did. All on camera exchanging stolen lira for cold hard cash. And he also got some cold hard cash from the apartment along with that lira, $1,100 to be exact. And guess what he did? He went right to his bank and put it all in his account the very next day. I'm talking paper trails on paper trails on paper trails on paper trails. Just a dumbass, criminal ass, stabbing ass idiot. And I gotta tell y'all, this is just a sampling of his sticky fingered sneaking in people's shit crimes. This motherfucker stayed on some cat burglar shit, and he stayed being seen. I mean, this area is full of glow in the dark peoples, and Cleophus is a dark skinned black man. Nigga, they see you, and they telling. A case is being built behind the scenes. You think you slick, but you really not. Baby, I'm gonna tell y'all this too. The block was hot. Woo, my lord, how the 8.5s, how them 8.5 by 11s was in a uproar. Honey, young white women's was being unalived in their own homes by a diabolical black man. And the police was not doing enough to find this motherfucker so they could sleep at night. But the police said that they was doing everything that they could to find the killer that was killing the cases. And it was just not good enough for the peoples. They weren't trying to hear none of that shit. Honey, they had all kinds of meetings about these killations. Because this wasn't the Negroes getting got. This was the young Milkians. And oh, no, we cannot have that. So since they had all of them eyewitnesses, the police put out a sketch of the motherfucker that everybody needed to be on the lookout for. The tip line started blowing up because everybody done seen a nigga that looked like that nigga. But guess what? The sketch ain't look a goddamn thing like Cleophus. It was like Cleophus was an apple and the police got a composite sketch out here, got the people looking for an orange. It wasn't Cleophus by no stretch of the imagination. So all the police got is a whole bunch of nothing. And check this out. At some point after he sent Holly to the upper room, but before the next victim got, the police actually questioned Cleophus about all of this shit. I mean, could it be that, Cleophus had a primed out Pinto like they saw? Or could it be that because him and his girl was wearing jewelry that wasn't theirs? Or could it be that word on the curb is that Cleophus run his mouth way too goddamn much and be out here talking hella reckless in these streets? I mean, he's a YN and that's what they have always done. And I don't know which or the combination of what, but whether they had heard his name being thrown out or whether they were just questioning all the black men who own pillowcases, they linked Cleophus enough for somebody to say, let me holler at you right quick by some murderation type shit. And let them tell it Cleophus was just one name on a list of might be murdering motherfuckers. And they was just fishing to try to see if any one of them would bite. Well, Cleophas's ass must have got spooked by that little conversation with the popo, cause the next thing you know, he up in the office at the Buena Vista Garden Apartments telling them he about to break his lease and move because he is tired of the police harassing him and the other brothers in the neighborhood just because they black. Nigga, they should be harassing you because you's a criminal. Dude, you the murdering murderer that they looking for. If you don't get the fuck up out of here, I mean, that's nerve. That is audaciousness. But I guess he needed a good excuse to break that lease, and it must have worked because the next thing you know, he is moving out of Buena Vista and over to the Top of the Hill apartment complex. Him and his girlfriend. Remember Charla Lewis? She's still all in love and shit with a killer. She talking about they moved because of all the killing in their old neighborhood. And the whole time, Charla, you the one shacking up with the goddamn killer. So now Cleophas live at the Top of the Hill apartments. And guess what starts to happen? Clairemont women started coming up unalived over this way too. Look like Charlotte should have been like, some don't seem right. Seem like they're following us, baby. So yeah, the next victim, she was a woman named Eliza Naomi Keller. She was 38 years old and she lived a block away from Cleophas's new crib. It's May 21st, 1990. Now mind you, Cleophas and them had just moved to that apartment 15 days prior. 15 days. It's like Everywhere he go, he got to Ginsu a white woman. And here go Eliza, his next victim. And just like the others, he killed this woman in her house, the home that she shared with her daughter. Now, the daughter was 17 years old at the time, and she was away for the weekend. My guess is that Cleophus went there to kill her, and she wasn't home, but her mama was, and so he did her instead. Now, I say that because Cleophas got a type. He like 'em young, and he like 'em hueless. And he ain't really into the mature salt gang, right? But then old Sticky Fingers helped himself to some of Elisa's jewelry. But in a case of more, shall we call it, poor burglary skills, Cleophas is in there taking this woman's stuff, but he has left very clear shoe prints of his Jordans on top of her stereo. Don't you love a dumb criminal? It just makes it harder to connect you to the crime at a later date. But y'all, this next killation, these ones I've already told you about, they have been bad, but this one here is a motherfucker. Cause, ooh, this is just as diabolical as one can get to be. And it all went down September 13th, 1990. Around 8 o'clock in the morning, 42-year-old Pamela Gail Clark left her house in the University City neighborhood of San Diego. She headed to the gym. She going to the Miramar Family Fitness Center. Now, this is the same gym that most of the women in this story were members of, as well as Cleophas' pussy ass. Well, Pam leaves her house, and her 18-year-old daughter, Amber Clark, she's still at home asleep in her room. Pam's husband leaves the house about 30 minutes later after she did, headed to work. Well, around 10 o'clock that morning, a neighbor says that they hear what sounds like Amber having a heated discussion with somebody. Sounded like a man. Another neighbor overheard what sounded like an argument, and Amber supposedly sounded like she was scared. But nobody calls the cops. They just went on about their day. I mean, Salt Gang, do better. Do better. Now, these same neighbors say around 11 o'clock that morning, Pam's car was back in the driveway. Well, Pam had an 11 o'clock appointment. She was a massage therapist, and she didn't show up for her client. So, they call in the house, but there is no answer. So a coworker is sent over to the house to see what the fuck going on with Pam. The coworker walks up to the house and finds Pam in the doorway. Let me tell you, Pam's body was there, but the spirit was long gone. She had been stabbed about 11 times in her chest area, and it looked like she had been dragged to where her body was laying at right now, and there was a bloody kitchen knife right by her head. Now, the coworker is freaking out because he now trying to figure out where the hell is Amber. Finds Amber a few seconds later, and she too has been jugged the fuck out of here. Cleophas' punk ass was the man that the neighbors had heard Amber arguing with earlier that day. He had ran up in that house after her parents had left, and he killed her, stabbed her 11 times in her chest too. But you see, her mama came home, and when Pam surprised him, he took her out too. I told you, he like 'em young, but he'll do what he got to do if his ass get caught up. And damn if he don't make it a 2-for-1 and cut Pam and her daughter's water off. And if that wasn't bad enough, he did his finishing move and robbed the place. Took all the money out of Pam's pocketbook and snatched her wedding ring right off of her finger. The police get their lickety split and they find all kinds of evidence, shoe impressions, DNA, fingerprints from the gloves and shit. And I'm just saying, God damn, that's cold-blooded. Now, I told y'all the South gang was hot by this shit. Serial offending in San Diego wasn't no new shit. I'm just saying, since 1985 up until this particular point in time, there had been 43 women that were disconnected and no longer in service. But you see, most of those women were black or into sex work or drugs or some combination of all three. So there wasn't an outcry about the loss of life. All lives didn't matter at this point, just the Clairemont. And so they were pulling detectives in from everywhere to come work these cases because they needed results or there was going to be trouble from the Elmer's Glue Crew. So in addition to the sketch, they put out a $30,000 bounty for this jug and jugger's head. Well, it didn't do no good because Cleophus was still out there. And I want to pause right here for a second to just let y'all know and understand that while all of this is going on, Cleophus is working. He works a full-time job and he also breaks in folks' shit full-time. He used his job as a cable man, to help, I guess I would call it surveillance on these women. He out and about and he see things, and so he's tracking these women. And as I was reading the trial transcripts, y'all, there are so many cases of him sneaking in people's houses and trying to get women to open their doors. Instances of women catching him at their door and turning the doorknob to try to see if it was unlocked and knocking on their doors asking for random people. I mean, this dude was stalking them. It was like 25 or 30 just all in a row. Like, I was gonna list them all here, but that's just exhausting. But trust me when I say, in addition to being a murderer that murdered part-time, he was also a thiever that thieved every goddamn chance he could. Now, I will drop the link to the transcript in the show notes as well as on social media so that you can read for yourself how prolific this nigga was at going up in folks' shit. And I mean, sometimes they would even be home. Like, there was one particular instance that threw me off. This woman was in her house asleep and he up in there and he like, hey, if she wake up, I'ma fuck her ass up. Like, what? Nigga. It's crazy. Now, Cleophus finally gets arrested February 4th, 1991 in San Diego, but it's not for what you think it's for. He got arrested on what they called a traffic warrant. So what, nigga? You ain't go to court for a speeding ticket or something? I mean, Cleophus, were you really out here doing entirely too damn much? A speeding ticket is what we going to court for, whatever. So he's got this speeding, whatever warrant for him for a traffic violation, and he's arrested on February 4th. They give him a court date to answer for this shit, February 7th, which is 3 days later, which, damn, Callie, that was quick as fuck. Anyway, that's not the point. So the 7th rolls around and Cleophus is a no-show. So they put a bench warrant out on him, and so the county marshals are now out looking for him to serve him with this bench warrant. And mind you, this is for some traffic shit. What happens next baffles my mind because Cleophus also had a court date for February 15th on an attempted burglary charge. And check this shit out. The attempted burglary charge was for some shit that went down over at the Scripps Ranch Apartments. Word on the curb is that Cleophus was Mr. Stalker Man, and he done followed this woman home from the gym, that same gym that everybody's a member of, the Miramar Family Fitness Center. 3 of the 5 women so far were absolutely members there, as well as Cleophus. And so this woman who he has followed home, also a member of this gym. Now, Cleophus tries to get in her house. He can't get in, and the woman is able to get away. But some kind of way he gets caught up, and he is told to come to court on the 15th to answer for this shit now. And in some nigga what the fuck type shit, Cleophus actually takes his ass to court on the 15th for the burglary charge with a whole ass bench warrant out on his ass for the traffic shit. Now you might think, oh, okay, this is where he gonna finally get yoked up, right? Because he got a warrant for his arrest. No, that's not how this goes down. The patron saint of audacious and dumb-ass criminals showed up and showed out for Cleophas' janky jugger bitch pussy ass. Even though the DA had sent over paperwork to hold his nigga if you ever get the chance on at least a $50,000 bond. Even though the DA was up in this particular hearing telling the judge, hey, we need to hold this nigga. Do you know this motherfucking judge ignored all that shit, pulled the bench warrant, tossed that bitch out, and let Cleophas walk on his own recognizance? The judge said that they didn't have enough to hold his punk ass on and let that sadistic son of a bitch go. Ooh, honey, that is unfucking believable. This nigga has killed 5 women and possibly one more. The DA think that he is good for the murders, yet he two-stepped his little young ass right on out the courtroom. I mean, they basically gave him a get-out-of-jail-free card. Or more like a gone on out there and stick a bitch at will pass. Whew, it's too much. Lord Jesus, it's too much. And you know what? The San Diego police felt that same way, honey. They were not going out like that. That's when the whole push to get this DNA started. They had biological evidence from the crime scenes. They just needed to find Cleophas and get a sample from him to confirm it all. But now that he out, where the fuck is Cleophas? I'm gonna tell you exactly where Cleophas was. That nigga fled to Alabama. Y'all know when the shit get crazy, motherfucker gonna always go home. And I tell you this too, no matter where he was, Cleophas couldn't help but do dumb shit to get locked up. Now, you know you hot. You know you lucky as hell to have been able to skate out of San Diego. It would seem to me that you would want to lay low. Keep your head down and try not to bring no attention to yourself when the state is trying to fry your ass. Not your boy Cleophas. 2 weeks after he got out of that shit in San Diego, he is at a bar in Birmingham and he is trying to steal some money out the goddamn register. Just young and dumb, useless as titties on a bull. Dude, thievery is not your ministry because you keep getting caught. You keep getting seen. You don't think the bar gonna watch that register like a hawk? That's where the money at. Get the fuck out of here. So on March 3rd, 1991, Cleophas' sticky-fingered ass was arrested in Birmingham for trying to steal out these folks' cash register. Now, remember, he from Birmingham, and in Birmingham, he doesn't have this extensive record like he has in California, and the Birmingham police have no clue of the shit he been into in California. They just processed him and let him go on bail. 3 hours later, here comes the San Diego Police Department calling, talking about they looking for a nigga named Cleophas. And Birmingham was like, shit, y'all a day late and a dollar short. We just turned him loose. San Diego was like, we need y'all to get his ass back because we on the way. So Birmingham knew that if they just called and asked Cleophas nicely to come back, he was going to tell them to kick rocks. So in a scheme that Todd had set up, they got the bail bondsman to call Cleophas' mama Neil, because you know that's who signed the bond. They told them that Cleophas needed to come back and sign another piece of paper right quick, or his release wouldn't be official. Well, y'all know how black mothers are, especially when they done put their house up to get your ass out of jail. We're going to be all about that goddamn paperwork. And not thinking anything of it, Cleophas and his mama went back to the bonding company and the police arrested his ass on the spot. And because of what he was suspected of back in California, The San Diego police had requested that Birmingham get a DNA sample from Cleophus, and they did exactly that, right? So, the San Diego police get to Birmingham and they quickly snatch up that DNA sample and they sent it to a private lab because DNA testing at the state crime lab was very, very slow and they wanted to get a jump on this. So they paid good coins to get the priority testing done so they could get it done quick. They formally charged Cleophus with 5 murders and attempted burglary on March 4th, 1991, even though physically his body was still in Alabama. They was like, shit me, he on the way, and when he gets here, we gonna have everything ready for his ass. And so while he was cooling his heels in the Birmingham jail, his mama and them got him an attorney. Because, you know, they out there singing, "It ain't my boy, you got the wrong one." You know that song. Mama just ain't gonna believe that her son could be a murderer, much less a serial killer. He a thief. He ain't no killer. Just don't push him. Mama. Don't put your house up and your son is that nigga. He the one, mama. And so after the police had Cleophus in custody, the San Diego police went up in his spot and baby, they found all kind of shit. They found the Jordans that matched the shoe print at Elisa's house. They found one of her rings. They also found that the ring that went missing from Holly's hand, it was on Cleophus's girlfriend's finger, Charlotte. Child, that's some negacious, diabolical shit there. Girl, he got you wearing a dead woman's jewelry. You thought he was so sweet, and all along he got a blood diamond for your ass, for real. Poor Charlotte. She was shooketh, honey. But at least she had the excuse of being young. I mean, she wasn't but 17, 18 when all this was going down. She ain't know nothing about nothing. But, ooh, honey, what a introduction to adulthood and ain't shit-ass niggas. You picked a good one. They also found the shoes that matched the impressions that were at Pam and Amber's house. They found the gloves that left that honeycomb pattern that they kept seeing at the crime scene. Turns out Cleophus used them gloves they was provided by his job. Just all the evidence. You ain't getting rid of shit. And so after a while, Cleophus did fight extradition, but they weren't trying to hear that shit. You finna bring your ass back to California, where he cooled his heels until his trial started. Baby, this trial lasted for 3 goddamn months. Somebody, I'm talking about everybody testified, from the police to lab techs to geneticists, folks from the neighborhood that seen him and his girl wearing these women's stolen rings, everybody who house that he went in and stole their shit, everybody who saw him coming out of somebody's shit. They even put Charlotte, you know, Cleophas's ex-girlfriend by this time. Baby, she got on that stand and was like, I don't know where he was on any of these days. I don't have no alibis, and the nigga probably did it if y'all say he did it. Charlotte ain't alibiing shit. They even had one of his cellmates turned state witness for the prosecution, got up there and told them how Cleophus had told them how he had killed Amber Clark, and that her mama had came in and surprised him, so he killed her too. And he said he enjoyed that shit. And I'm all right with these cellmates turning state witnesses, because again, it ain't snitching if you wasn't in on the crime. Cleophas was just up in the joint running his goddamn mouth, and baby, if you can get some of your time cut off by putting this punk ass nigga behind bars for the rest of his life or getting his water cut off, baby, tell it like the rent is due. Like I said, the trial went on for 3 months and the jury deliberated for 9 whole days. But baby, on that 9th day, they came back into that courtroom and convicted Cleophus Prince Jr.'s good killing ass on July 13th, 1993 on 6 counts of first-degree murder and 21 more lesser charges that included rape and burglary. Baby, Miss Dorothy, Cleophas's mama, ooh, she was all up in the courtroom just having a whole ass fit. He ain't do it, Jesus. Oh, my Lord, not my son. Y'all got the wrong one. Miss Dorothy, It's okay to sit your ass down. This ain't your time, okay? You need to sit there and be quiet, all right? Drink your water. Whew, honey. Cleophus Prince Jr. was sentenced November 5th, 1993 to a state-sponsored disconnection by Judge Charles Hayes. Before he went off, he told the families, "I'd like to say to all the families, I did not kill any of your daughters. Y'all convicted me because I'm black and they was white." Nigga, if you don't shut the fuck up and go sit your ass down and get ready for that long kiss goodnight. Cleophus Prince Jr. is inmate number H99600 at the California State Prison at Sacramento. As of today, he is 58 years old and he still got a lot of time to be sucking on the state titty because Cali ain't about to disconnect nobody. So, congratulations, California taxpayers. You get to foot the bill for Cleophas's 3 hots and a cot for at least another 20, 30 some odd years. That is, if don't nobody shank his ass up good since he like to jug a bitch. That would be poetic justice. Tiny, where you at? Handle your business. And New Orleans Nation, that is the story of Cleophus Prince Jr. Whew, honey, this story was layered on so many ways, but one thing I want to point out, this was a story of all white people getting murdered, and the way this community reacted was right on brand. But there was some interviews with some of the residents of this community that were quite honest. I said it before and I will say it.
Lululemon just made the coziest matching set to get you to and from Pilates. Meet the Steady State hoodie and sweatpants, a fan favorite from our men's line, reimagined in Superloft fabric that's smooth on the outside, fleecy soft on the inside. Level up your comfort in the new Steady State Superloft, available now at lululemon.com.
Again, they don't give a fuck when it's black bodies that are being murked, but let that shit come to their doorsteps, and it's a national emergency. I read this quote from one of the Clear teens, and I was like, damn, finally a motherfucker telling us how they really feel. This sour creamian said, quote, "I guess it has to do with the social regard towards prostitution. The serial killing brought home to a lot of people that you could be showering at home in your middle class or upper middle class neighborhood and you could get attacked. Translation, you can be white in your white home, living your white life and get got just like the niggers with the hard ER. I mean, the peoples was shocked and amazed." Poor little tink tink. It can happen to you too. It doesn't just happen in our communities. And it's a goddamn shame whether it's happening in yours or ours, because a human being is lost their life because another human being is out here being a killing killer that kills. And I don't know. I mean, that's what this podcast is for, to bring awareness to these situations so that we can govern ourselves accordingly, right? And I want to touch on one more little thing right quick, because one other element to this story was that Cleophas was always running his mouth. At his job, he was always the one that had to outdo you. If you had a story, he had one greater, right? And he always talked about his conquest, right? These women that he was doing. He was messing with a massage therapist and her daughter. That's Pam and Amber. I mean, he was talking about the things that he was doing amongst the guys. And I don't think that is a new phenomenon. There has got to come a time when men hold men accountable for the things that their men friends, men acquaintances do and say. I'm struck by current events of today. A man murders his wife and kills himself, and we've got platitudes for this nigga who killed his wife because she wanted a divorce. A terrible story in Shreveport. A man has gone and killed, 8, 10 children? Like, there has got to be a reckoning amongst the men people. If you dealing with a dude who ain't shit, hold that nigga accountable. All this shucking and jiving and looking up the other way and turning a blind eye to big waving red flags. It's gotta stop somewhere, because if good guys put up with the shit the bad guys are doing and saying, you're just encouraging these mayhem makers to be ever more audacious, ever more diabolical, and to commit these heinous crimes against women. It's always a woman that's getting got because a man in his feelings, a man got too much bullshit going on in his life, a man can't handle it. Like, what the fuck, man? I love men. Oh my God, I love them. They are the greatest. But at the same time, 90% of the subjects on my podcast are men. Yes, I am able to sprinkle in a few women, but I have to spread them out, because if I give them all at once, then I don't have anything. Yes, there are women who do diabolical shit, but it's way, 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 way more men. And it's been that way since the beginning of time in this patriarchal society. I don't know what the solution is. All I can do is use my platform to bring awareness that these men are out here, and we have got to be self-aware. We have got to always have our head on a swivel. We have always got to be Inspector Gadget, inspecting every goddamn aspect of any man that comes around us, because they don't have a scarlet K on their forehead. There's no scarlet R on their forehead. There's no discernible clue to let you know that the dude that you are dealing with, the dude that you are coming in contact with, is a killer, is a rapist, is someone that wants to do you harm. So it's a horrible, horrible thing to have to be on point all the time, because you got to be on point all the time as a woman. They just got to get it right one time and catch you slipping. Now, I didn't want to pull my soapbox out, but I felt led to just get this off my chest, because, ladies, I've said it before and I will say it again. We are on the menu. Yes, today's story, no black women were harmed in the making of this story, but it's a damn shame that women as a whole, we are on the menu. And when it comes to the pecking order, my beautiful black queens, y'all know where we fall. Becky, they're going to look for her. They're going to turn every rock over, and they're going to look in every crevice, and they're going to try to find her killer. But ours, if they get around to it, somebody get around to it. And it's a damn shame that that's the way it is. But that's the way it is. Sure, depending upon where you live, especially if you live in a progressive area, the police may do a better job of policing and being engaged with the community and trying to solve the crimes of the black people, the impoverished people, the people on the margins. But in wide swaths across this great nation, it don't go down like that. So, we have to be our own lookout. We have got to be our sister's keeper. And that's what I am here doing. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but baby, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I know this ain't the close yet, because I still got some more shit to say, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's time for y'all to say some shit now. Y'all know how to get at me. Let's talk about this on social media. I am Melanin Mayhem Podcast on all of the platforms except for X. Over there, I am Melanin Mayhem PC. You can reach me by email at melaninmayhempodcast@gmail.com. There is a website, same name of the podcast, melaninmayhempodcast.com. You can get your merchandise needs over there. Let's get into this week's Noir Nation shout out. This week, I am shouting out Bree Brady, who left a 5-star review on Apple entitled Love It. Bree Brady said, I already love the podcast, but the bonus stories deserve to be on the big screen. Keep them coming, girl. Laugh out loud. Thank you, Bree. I am going to keep them coming, and I hope from your lips to God's ears that, yes, we can put some of these stories on the big screen because they deserve to be seen, baby, in all of their full glory. Thank you so much for taking time to drop me a review and for spending part of your day with your favorite country girl. Now, y'all, it's like 4:12 in the morning, Wednesday morning, and I have got to get in the kitchen and edit this thing up just a little bit. But before we close the doors of the church, you know how we do when we do what we do. So I need y'all to please stay safe. Please, please, please stay ever vigilant. And baby, if you don't remember nothing else, remember this and carry it with you everywhere you go. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. It's one love, Noir Nation, and your favorite country girl is out of here.
Woo-wee, Nana, you did that.
Wow.